and I will convene the regular commission meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for Tuesday, August the 18th. We have asked Commissioner Jones if he would say give us an invocation, and he has graciously agreed to do that. Commissioner Jones, can I call on you at this point to give us an invocation?
He needs to unmute.
Deacon Jones.
We want to hear your invocation.
Come on, Deacon.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. May we pray together. Dear Father in heaven, we ask your blessings on our city, our state, and our nation. Thank you for the liberty and freedoms that we enjoy, especially those we take for granted each day. Thank you for the diversity of our people and enlarge and increase our capacity for tolerance and mutual respect. Remind us, Lord, that we were made in your image in all sorts of beautiful shapes and sizes and colors. Truly, we are your children. May your gracious spirit inspire us to work together to meet the challenges of our times. With all hope, faith, and trust in you, we pray this prayer in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes, and the minutes of our pre-commission meeting of August the 4th and the regular commission meeting of August the 4th have been circulated and distributed. Are there any changes or additions that need to be made? And if not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as prepared?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Schlesinger, second by Lucas. Further conversation? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next are reports from our standing committees.
No
And
alcohol.
I'll call on Chairman Watkins, Operations and Finance Committee, to give that report. Chairman Watkins.
Thank you, sir. The Operations and Finance Committee met August 11th and took the following actions. We appropriated $40,000 to provide funding for the professional services in preparation for the closing of Walker Road landfill. We approved an agreement with Wade Ford in the amount of $13,856 for the purchase of 4 Ford Explorer vehicles for the fire department. We approved a construction contract with Stafford Builders for the completion of the Smart Park at the cost of $760,500. The committee approved the transferring of $7,827 from various line items to fund salary increases for various positions in the Superior Court Clerk's office. And the committee also heard an update on the right-of-way grass cutting program. This concludes the Operations and Finance Committee's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Watkins. Next committee is Economic and Community Development Committee. That report will be given to us by Chairman Lucas. Chairman Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow commissioners. The Economic and Community Development Committee met on August 11th, 2020, and took the following action. The committee approved the temporary expansion of First Friday open container authorizations in the downtown business area through December 31st, 2020. This is a trial period. And this concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas. That no report from Public Safety Committee. I understand.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something? Although
Yes, ma'am.
Although there's no formal report, I say this every time, public safety is an everyday thing. So keep that in mind, especially now.
Very good, Chairman Wynn. Thank you very much for that reminder. That's a good one. Final committee report is Facilities and Engineering Committee, and Chairman Jones will give us that report. Chairman Jones?
Yes, sir. Facilities and Engineering met August the 11th, along with the other committees, and we took the following action.
Commissioner Jones, sorry to interrupt. If you will talk a little further away from your microphone, it
Okay,
seems to be hitting some highs and it's hard to
Put your
hear.
paper down.
how's that?
Maybe a little
better?
softer. It sounds like when you talk into a microphone too loud and it's kind of.
Okay,
So just talk in your regular voice and it should pick up just fine.
all right, I'll try to whisper. How about that?
Thank you very much.
Facilities and Engineering Committee met August the 11th, and we took the following action. Committee approved the following leases with the Houston County Board of Health WIC program for the lease of office space for $21,215 yearly. Second lease with A.T. Holt Company for the use of a vacant lot on Walnut Street Lanes for $350 per month. And the third lease with James Hatcher, doing business as Hatcher Farms, for approximately 184.48 acres at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport to be used as agricultural land. I forgot the cost of that lease, and it's not on my sheet. So if somebody wants to add that, they can. This completes the report of the Facilities and Engineering Committee.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman Jones. Next, we have a public comment and on an agenda item, as I understand it. Michael, is that right?
Yes, sir. We have one comment on an agenda item. This is in regards to the item referring to partially funding the Cherry Street or Cotton Avenue Plaza, First Street Roundabout, Rosa Parks Square program. This is a comment. It's an email entitled War Monument. It comes from Mark Quackenbush, and it reads as follows. Dear Macon-Bibb County Commissioners, you do not have my support to move any war monument. If it ever needs to be moved, a good location would be in front of the Period Museum, and that is the Tubman Museum, as both are monuments from the same time. Parcel R073-0426 would be a good location for the war monument, as it would be an equal site. Signed, Mark Quackenbush. Mr. Mayor, this concludes the public comments on agenda items.
Good. Thank you, Michael. No items for the consent agenda. I'm sure everybody will be surprised to learn there were no alcohol applications that need to be considered tonight. So nothing on the consent agenda. So that takes us next to old business. And the first item of old business is an ordinance to approve and authorize the reappropriation of up to $200,000 for the Central City Commons and the plaza at Cotton Avenue and 2nd Street. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve and authorize the reappropriation of up to $200,000 from 2018 SPLOST revenues, calendar year 2019 roads and bridges, Central City Commons line item to provide funding for planned improvements to Cotton Avenue Plaza, 1st Street, and Rosa Parks Square, and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Wynn, I got you first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't really know why there's the urgency in approving this money. We've got roads and bridges that need to be attended to before this matter comes before us. So I think we need to use our money more wisely for this community as a whole, rather than from one little passive park that will not be used by the community. So I think this money needs to be used elsewhere. I think we're pushing this too hard and too fast. And for what reason, I really don't know why. These statues have been there for over 100 years. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none.
Yeah, I got one.
Jones.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Jones. I didn't see you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm against the proposal as well. Of course, the whole thing is a part of a $5 million waste of taxpayers' money. $500,000 for the Cotton Avenue Plaza, $1.5 million for a roundabout at First and Poplar that we do not need, and $3 million on a small plot of ground, a passive park, which is an insane amount of money to spend on that project. So I'm not in favor of it. As I've said before, we can hire 100 public safety officials for the same amount of money, the $5 million. So I'm against the starting of the project. I don't see the rush as well. Thank you.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll on this because it was fairly close coming out of committee of the whole. And so we'll have a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll if you're for this reappropriation of the up to $200,000 from Central City Commons to these 3 park projects? You would vote yes. If you're opposed to it, you'd vote no. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. We'll be voting by districts. Commissioner Wynn, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Commissioner Schlesinger, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Lucas, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Bivens, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Shepard, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Watkins, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tillman, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses, 4 noes. So the yeses have it. The ordinance is adopted. That takes us next to item B. Item B is a resolution to authorize Americus and Sumter County Hospital Authority to issue bonds to refinance facilities located here. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the Americus and Sumter County Hospital Authority to issue bonds to refinance facilities located in Macon-Bibb County, Georgia, and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Wynn, I've got you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is being brought up for the first time if the public's watching this meeting, which many of them do. So there needs to be an understanding or an explanation to the public of what this is about, because I didn't really know until we had our meeting last week. So would you mind doing that?
Sure, absolutely. That's a good suggestion, Commissioner. This is a legal requirement provided for in the Hospital Authority Act. And what that says is if there's any hospital authority in the state that operates in any other part of the state, in any jurisdiction, the local governing body has to give them permission to operate. The bonds that were issued by Sumter County Hospital Authority are being in part used to refinance a location in Macon, Magnolia Manor. And the law says that because that money is being used for that facility under these Sumter County bonds, Sumter County Hospital Authority is operating in Bibb County. It is required then that the commission give them permission to operate. Importantly, and I think this is to your point, Commissioner Wynn, Bibb County is not pledging our credit. We're not issuing bonds. We're not issuing debt. We're not pledging anything. This is just saying you can operate here. You have permission to come into our county and operate this facility. That's all it is.
Thank you. That's what I wanted the people to hear.
Yeah.
Good. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it and the resolution is adopted. The next is a resolution expanding the first Friday concept to other days of the week. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
Resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission approving a temporary expansion of Macon-Bibb County's First Friday open container authorizations in the downtown business area through December the 31st, 2020, and for other lawful purposes.
The Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Wynn, got you, and then I think I heard Commissioner Jones as well.
All right, thank you, sir. I commented on the meeting last week about this advocating of drinking in our streets bill resolution. I know that Newtown Macon is sponsoring this. Their purpose is to restore and reestablish downtown Macon as a thriving center for economic, cultural, and social activity. So I know their reason is for economic reasons, I believe, maybe social reasons. But if you go down to page 3 of this resolution, I just have a problem. I'm not going to approve this, but I still want to make this comment and ask for something here. It says in about the third or fourth paragraph down, it says, whereas the Macon-Bibb County Commission finds that this resolution is necessary and proper to promote or protect, listen to this, the safety, health, peace, security, and general welfare of Macon-Bibb County and its inhabitants. This resolution is not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of economic assistance to some of our restaurants and bars downtown. I have a problem with this wording in here. I know we put this in a lot of our resolutions, but I think this is inappropriate for this because you cannot tell me that advocating additional drinking in our streets protects and promotes the safety, health, peace, security, and general welfare of Macon-Bibb County and its inhabitants. So therefore, I'd like to make a friendly resolution that this particular paragraph be stricken from this particular resolution and just go ahead with it without that, because it does not support that. It is not COVID friendly either, because if you have a mask on, it's not COVID friendly. If you're drinking, you're going to gather. I'm sorry, you're going to gather without mask on. You're going to gather and it's going to happen in the streets. And I just think this needs to be taken out of there. I just think the whole thing needs to be set aside.
So that's an amendment to delete.
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion to delete that paragraph?
Second.
Commissioner Lucas is a second. Is there further discussion on the motion to delete that whereas paragraph that reads, whereas the Macon-Bibb County Commission finds that the resolution is necessary and proper to promote or protect the safety, health, peace, security, and general welfare of Macon-Bibb County and its inhabitants. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, which would delete that language, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is approved, and that language is now removed and stricken. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir. I'm not looking at it. Refresh my memory on how many days of the week and what the hours are.
My recollection, and I'll call on the attorney, is that it says daily, which basically would be every day of the week. And it's from something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
That's Michael, you want to go through the details?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And this is the way that our code structures the first Friday is it's approving of a program that's run by Newtown Macon. And so ultimately Newtown Macon is responsible for distributing the cups, distributing the wristbands, generally supervising the program. And so to the extent that, you know, they see any problems with it, or if things get out of hand or anything like that, they also have authority to stop it, because we're just blessing their program essentially.
Question, Mr.
Well, wait a minute. Let me be sure that I've got Commissioner Jones satisfied. Commissioner Jones.
So you're telling me it's 7 days a week, even on Sunday, and these are places that don't serve food?
It's 7 days a week, 4 p.m. through 10 p.m. And by our code, malt beverage and wine service is allowed on Sundays from 12:30 p.m. until midnight.
Even though they don't serve food, Michael?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Sunday sales permit and the food service requirement allows them to start serving at 11 a.m. and allows them to sell liquor drinks on Sundays, but there is no restriction on the sales of malt beverage or wine on Sundays.
But the way the law used to read was 50% or more of your business had to be in food to serve on Sunday.
That's for liquor. Yes, sir.
I thought it was for beer and wine as well.
No.
Used to be. Anyway, I'm not so sure this is a good idea. I just think it's going to cause problems. I want everybody to be able to survive down there, but I don't see it 7 days a week, especially on Sunday. And I think you're going to have a hard time with enforcement. You're going to encourage activities that we don't want.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Wynn, back to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll try to make this short and sweet, because I think that when you advocate drinking on the streets of downtown Macon with a little drinky cup, with a little drinky cup in your armband, who's going to enforce that? This is being sponsored by Newtown Macon because a nonprofit has to sponsor it. Hey, listen, guys, I'm not a teetotaler. I'd love to have a nice brew with a burger down at the Rookery with some battered fries any day. But I just think that this is not the right thing for us to do. You compare us to New Orleans. We're not New Orleans. We're not Savannah. We're not Atlanta. We want to keep the streets clean. We want to keep the people in good shape. It's not a health safety thing. I don't know why we have to do this. I know the reason behind it was to promote the economics of the restaurants and the bars downtown. And my heart goes out to them. Everybody's losing in this COVID. But I don't think this is the right way to go for our downtown Macon area. Therefore, I think that we should not vote for this. I think that it is COVID non-friendly because you have to drink, you can't wear a mask, you're going to gather, you're going to have parties out in the streets once they get outside the building. I just don't see it as a good idea for downtown.
Is there further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Is that Commissioner Bivens?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
There's some mention about this being temporary.
That is correct. It's between now and the end of the year, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of a trial program. And if I recall correctly, Josh Rogers said if it's problematic, they'll cut it down. That means shut it down.
Are they going to monitor it?
Yes.
Are they going to police it?
I suppose.
Well, what if something happens when there's too much drinking? We're going to blame it on them or the city?
Lord.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a comment?
I was just going to say this supports the health of entrepreneurship and those business owners that's suffering. And, every Friday, down in Tallahassee, Florida, they do it, down there on a regular basis, especially during football season. So, ride through downtown. It's changing. Let's be more supportive. It's no different than what's happening in Greenville, South Carolina, Tallahassee, Florida, Savannah. So it's time for us to get on board and let's try to help our businesses any way we can. So just look at it from that point. And it's a test trial through, I think, December. Let's just see how it goes. And, I think we go from there.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there further discussion?
Commissioner Jones.
Commissioner Jones, back to you, sir.
Yes, sir, and I could see it if it were every Friday and Saturday night all the way through the end of the year. I just don't think 7 nights a week is the way to go. Too much.
Yeah.
I don't know why you think it's funny, but it's.
No, well, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, it's going to be funny until somebody gets in their car drunk and kills somebody. It's not going to be funny.
All right. Is there further discussion?
Well, let me just, yes, sir.
Like masks.
So you can't wear a mask when you drink, okay? But you, Mr. Commissioner Jones brought up a good point. I don't use my finger like that, but brought up a good point that if we just had it at Friday and Saturday nights, I'd be fine with that too. I don't know why we have to have it every night, including Sunday. Again, my heart goes out to those businesses, those restaurants and bars, but I think I'd like to amend that to be just Friday and Saturday.
No.
So that was a motion to amend. Supposedly now amendments are supposed to be in writing. I don't know what we're doing. As far as
second.
Somebody's writing them down, I hope.
Wait, Michael can get it ready.
I've already got the floor amendment done.
Yeah.
If you want to amend further, then I can.
Okay, so is there a second to that motion to amend this to limit it to Friday and Saturday nights?
Well, Mr. Mayor, let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Who's the sponsor of this particular?
I am.
Schlesinger.
Yeah, on behalf of.
Two things. I mean, I think before we try to amend something, I mean, it's obvious that in listening that, people that don't attend downtown and don't support this, you just don't support it. And it's not fair to Newtown or the businesses to come in here at the last minute. They didn't ask for a weekend. I think that doing First Friday that already exists. And so you can't go back and ask for something that already exists for Friday nights. I mean, the ordinance is clear to do the trial run. So let's not make it a bigger deal than it has to be. If you don't support it, you just don't support it. But I mean, just don't try to block it because you don't drink or I mean, what's the purpose of trying to do that?
All right. Was there a second to that motion to amend?
I second it.
Got a second by Jones. So we got a motion to amend to limit the list to Friday and Saturdays. If you want to, if you're in favor of the amendment to limit it to Friday and Saturday, you'd vote yes. If you're opposed to the amendment, you'd vote no. So all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
I'm confident that the noes have it. Therefore, the amendment failed. Back to the main motion.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Is there further discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the main motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Do I have 2 noes, Wynn and Jones?
Yes.
I think
Bivens.
Commissioner Bivens as well. Yeah, 3.
3, Wynn, Jones, and Bivens. So, but that's still 6 to 3. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is item D, which is a lease to the Houston County WIC program of office space at 456 Oglethorpe. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement of extension with the Houston County Board of Education WIC program for the lease of office space located at 456 Oglethorpe Street in the amount of $21,215 for 1 year and for other lawful purposes.
The Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to execute a lease agreement for a little parking space next to the courthouse on Walnut Street Lane. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with A.T. Holt Company at a rate of $350 per month for the use of the vacant lot located on Walnut Street Lane alongside the courthouse to be used for authorized county parking and for other lawful purposes.
The Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution to authorize a lease agreement for some farming on the airport property. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement between Macon-Bibb County and James Hatcher doing business as Hatcher Farms for the lease of approximately 184.48 acres of clear zone land located within the Middle Georgia Regional Airport to be used as agricultural land in substantially the same form as attached hereto as Exhibit A and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to appropriate $40,000 for some professional services, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve and authorize the appropriation of up to $40,000 from 2018 SPLOST revenues, calendar year 2017, Walker Road landfill, purchase line item to provide funding for professional services in preparation for closing the Walker Road landfill and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted. Next is a resolution to purchase 4 utility vehicles for the fire department, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase and sale agreement with Wade Ford Incorporated in the amount of $137,856 for the purchase of 4 Ford Explorers Pursuit sports utility vehicles, with funds to be paid from 2018 SPLOST funds, public safety, fire upgrade, machinery and equipment line item, and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is item I, which is a resolution to approve a contract with Stafford Builders for the Smart Park and Linmore Park project. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a construction contract with Stafford Builders and Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $760,500 for completion of the Smart Park, Linmore Park project to be paid from 2018 SPLOST funds, Culture and Recreation Smart Park, property line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead, Mr.
Commissioner Wynn and then Commissioner Schlesinger.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just again, this is another one of these public information things. I think it would be nice to explain to the public where this park is and what the SMART acronym is, and just what is being paid for here out of that money.
Let me go to Schlesinger, Commissioner Schlesinger, and he ought to be able to answer that and elaborate a little bit more in his comments. Commissioner Schlesinger.
Well, I don't know exactly what's in the $760,000 figure that's going to be done there. The point I wanted to bring up is that we had named that the Frankie Lewis Park. It's on Linmore Avenue, which is off of Houston Avenue. It's across basically from Unionville Baptist Church. Frankie had the vision of creating a park in a neighborhood where activities for children just were non-existent. Memorial Gym is a good hike from there. This is, one of the most depressed neighborhoods in Macon-Bibb County. And her vision was to at least give the children of the neighborhood a place where they could go and play and socialize in a non-COVID-19 era. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make that name, correction that it's Frankie Lewis Park. Right. And even though she was the head of SMART, it's Frankie Lewis Park.
Very good. Then Rachel, can you share your screen and put the improvements of the park back up with a little artist rendition? I think that's the, right. That's got basketball courts, a walking track around the perimeter, a lot of planting and green space. I do think there's a little, they said they were not going to do the house. So the house is gone now, so they're going to have to demolish the house. It wasn't worth the cost of renovation, if I understand it.
I spoke with Clay Murphy earlier, who told me that the house is still there, but they will be tearing it down.
Right.
So that's the one piece on here that is not accurate. Yep.
Correct. So it good improvements in a neighborhood that needs help and attention. Are there further questions? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is an ordinance to transfer money within the Superior Court clerk's budget. And I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
An ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend the Superior Court clerk's budget by transferring $7,827 from various line items to various salary and benefits line items to fund salary increases for various positions in the Superior Court Clerk's office and for other lawful purposes.
The Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted. Next is the item that we added to this agenda, which is having to do with the contract to improve the Robert Train Memorial Recreation Center at the corner of Oglethorpe and First Street. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a construction contract with Piedmont Construction Group Incorporated in the amount of $888,218.76 for Phase 1 of the historic Robert S. Train Memorial Recreation Center restoration and redevelopment project to be paid from 2018 SPOS funds and for other lawful purposes.
Committee of the Whole recommends approval. And is there further discussion now? I'd like to say I appreciate Mayor Pro Tem getting his questions answered about the source of the funds. These are blight funds that can't be used for mowing grass and some of the other things that were initially mentioned as something that we need to do. Ethiel Garlington has called and concerned because this building is on one of their fading 5 list and is thought to be a building of significance, especially for its location within the downtown area. So I appreciate this opportunity to have this additional discussion, and I hope we'll approve the contract. We've already got the money appropriated now. The money was appropriated. We went through the bidding process for the improvements for phase 1, and have got an end user identified being the University of Extension Service, 4-H club, and senior programs, et cetera, that I think would make great use of the building. So further discussion. I see Commissioner Allen got his hand up.
Mine was up first.
Go ahead and let the young lady have first.
Thank you. I especially like that young. I'm going to support this because I do think that it's one of those historic structures that needs to be saved. And we did a tour over there one morning, and the building has a lot of potential. It really does need to be saved, but I want us to make sure, and I've asked the chair of operations to please, let's take a look at those projects that we have remaining in our term, those things that we have already approved before we leave office, before we end this term. If we could please review all of those items, because there are a number of things that we approved prior to this, and this has been fast forwarded. And as I said, I'm going to support it, but I sure do hope that we finish up all of those things that we've dedicated funds and support to. And Rosa Parks is one of those things that I want to make sure is cemented with a revenue stream and all of that, so that it's not forgotten. And I would hope that the new administration would take up all those things, but a new administration has the right to change course if they wish, if they get the votes of the commission to change course. And so I think those things that we know are very, very important to us, that we're committed to, we need to make sure that they are in stone before our term is up. And that's a reminder. I'm like Commissioner Bivens up there. We don't need to forget those things that sometimes get forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Allen?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you said in the first phase was 800 plus thousand. Is that going to be the second phase 2? Is that all of it, or is that additional monies we're going to put into it?
That'll be additional money, Commissioner Allen, to be appropriated, but this will stabilize and fix the outside and make it save the building and make it eligible. And I do hope that we can go to the philanthropic community and get some buy-in. I think we could. And also, if we move the university extension service in there, we'll save approximately $50,000 a year in the rent we are paying for the space that they occupy now down on First Street. That's not really totally satisfactory for them. So we'll save the $50,000 a year, and I think that'll help too. But yes, to answer your question, in the phase two, the interior renovations would be additional money.
Do you have any idea about how much?
Less than the outside, but that still gives you. I've been led to believe approximately $500,000.
And there will be other dollars like blight or splice dollars that can be utilized.
Yes, if it is the will of the commission to do that, but like I say, I'm hoping that we can get some philanthropic help to apply for grants to finish it out. Because like I say, these programs that the University Extension Service can put in there, I think could be for health, you know, cooking classes and so on. Right. So I'm hoping we can get some philanthropic help too. I'm going to try to get it.
Okay.
Is there further discussion?
Yes.
Mayor.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Bivens, go ahead, sir.
I agree with the comments made by Commissioner Lucas, and this mention about this being about the history. One of the reasons I had intended to support this is because I like the idea the Extension Service has needed something that will benefit the community for a long time. But when you talk about history, though, I want to mention one aspect of the history that you may not realize. But I can remember when the Grays Hill swimming pool was closed. I and others spent a good bit of time doing demonstrations around the train recreation center because minorities were not allowed to use it. Of course, you know, all that's passed and gone, but I just wanted to mention that it is part of the history of that place.
Right. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Watkins, did you have something?
Yes.
Okay. Joe?
So I guess I'm going to vote no to this because these are coming from our SPLOST allocation for blight projects. I disagree with you and that improving our county infrastructure, dealing with the maintenance of grass cutting, addressing illegal dumping in our right of way is an eligible project for these dollars. And also the main goal of these dollars when we initially conceived this was to address the thousands of derelict, blighted residential properties. This is enough money to address hundreds of those type of properties, but the administration has chosen just to focus on one single building in the downtown area, neglecting any conversation or creativity for the rest of the dollars. And I'm not for that. I've asked several times for some type of movement in non-downtown when it comes to these dollars, and we just keep on doing the same thing over and over again while not addressing. At this point, like I say, I'm having a problem getting the administration to cut the grass.
Right. Well, I understand that, but SPLOST dollars are for capital improvement projects. So that's number one. Number two,
the right of way of Macon, Georgia is capital infrastructure that the city owns.
Well, I defer to the attorney. I defer to the attorney for that. But in any event, I would say I told in pre-commission I mentioned the blight project that we're doing over there in East Macon, adjacent to the Okmulgee Mounds National Historic Park, getting rid of those blighted properties. So it's not. I'm trying to take a balanced approach to this, and I would appreciate your consideration. Commissioner Jones, I understand that you had a question or discussion.
Yes, sir, and I'm for the project. I think it's a good project. I supported it before. On the bidding process, there seems to be some question as to who bid what on the first and the second. What can the attorneys tell us as far as seem to be some confusion as to the cost of phase two? That figure of 500 or 600,000 maybe is way too low. So what can you tell me on the bidding process as far
Bidding process? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was handled by procurement. The RFP was sent out. There are two different phases, and they have different things in them, and so they were scored. So, for example, phase one, there were only two bidders to this particular project. Had certain things in it that they both put down in phase one and priced it. They were not identical. And then phase two also was called for in the cost proposal documents, and they were totaled up, and then they were scored. And this bidder got the highest score, got the most points. So it's not just, it's a score procedure, but they got the most points of that bidding process.
Right. I understand how it normally works, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
County Attorney Duke Groover, but what were there limits placed on the amount that could be spent in phase two? Was that placed on the applicants?
I can't answer that question. I wasn't part of the RFP and procurement. I don't know. I know it was developed and sent out and responded to, and we went through our normal process, but I can't answer that particular question.
Okay.
Well, I can add this, that I think that the amount of funds in that category were identified, and that was public record when we appropriated the money. What we were trying to do is to see how far we could get with that money, and the winning bidder had the lower overall price and included the elevator shaft in phase one, which the other contractor did not do. So that was the kind of the price difference.
Right. Were applicants told that this is our budget that we have to work with and bid? Were there any limits as far as they were told that there was a limit or a budget amount that they had to fall within?
Yes, I think that's accurate and fair. Cass Hatcher was really the one that helped us with the bidding process and putting it out. And he's done an awful lot with River Edge and other places like that. So he helped us with it. Michael, do you have something?
Yes, sir. I have the bid submittal document that quotes the price from Piedmont, if it would help to go over that so everyone can see kind of the breakdown of the pricing. Let me see here.
That'd be great. Thank you.
To answer your question, it looks like from the bid documents, the budgeted range for phase one was 830 to 930, and the budgeted range for phase two was 500 to 700. I think that was the parameter. And Cass could answer that better than I can, but I'm reading the bid documents. And so those were the ranges. So they bid, I think, within those, and then there was a total.
That's the wrong one.
Michael's got it up. There was two. This is phase one, and there was also a phase two that both bid on.
And it was, right, so phase one here, $888,000. And as they mentioned, there was some difference in what each of the two bidders put in phase one versus phase two. The commission may recall that around, I believe it was $930,000 was appropriated for this project back in January. And then the next page here is phase two. And so this shows the interior work that they're looking at doing, and the total contract price that was bid was just over 1.2 million. And so with the first phase bid of 888, that leaves a difference of about $325,000, somewhere in that range. $320,000 will be for phase two. And that's going to include, there's already $50,000 extra that's been appropriated, roughly, that's been appropriated to this project, that this first phase came in under that mark. So of that, there's already about $50,000 in the pot towards this.
So the total of the two phases, that's Piedmont won that bid because they were the lower of the two.
Right, for the total, both phases together, total project cost.
Okay.
Is there further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Wynn?
I'm just observing there's a lot of comments and questions about this project and concerns about it. And I know that we just voted to take it off the table tonight to introduce it for more discussion. It just seems like we need to have more discussion now and look at some of these numbers again. And I know that, I don't know that I would want to ask to table it again, but I do want to ask to do that. So I'm doing it.
Motion to table. Is there a second to the motion to table? There's no second, so the motion to table fails. We're back.
Wow.
Is there further discussion?
I say a second. I second it.
Commissioner Watkins is a second. Motion to table is non-debatable. All in favor of tabling this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
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 The motion to table fails. So that's back to the main motion. Is there further discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
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 I think I got 2 no's, Wynn and Watkins, but that would be 7-2. The ayes have it, so the resolution is approved. That takes us down to new business. There are several items of new business that I want to read to you. Item A under new business is an ordinance to amend section 2-17 of the code entitled Code of Ethics for the purpose of clarifying procedures with respect to handling of ethics complaints against Macon-Bibb County officials. I'm going to refer that to the committee of the whole.
I'm gonna be an expert witness too.
Okay. Item B is an ordinance to amend chapter 4 of the code to allow for the sale of alcoholic beverages by the package to go on Sundays from 11 a.m. until midnight. This is something that just came out. The governor signed it as an option for us. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Next is item C, which is an ordinance to amend section 2-37 of the code relating to the referral of items of commission business to the committee of the whole. I'm going to refer that to the committee of the whole. Next, that we just talked about earlier this evening, is an ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission to establish face covering requirements for entry into county property in accordance with the executive order 08.15.20.01 issued by Governor Kemp on August 15th, 2020, and for other lawful purposes. I'm going to refer that to the committee of the whole. The final item of new business, item E, is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission enacting a local option face covering requirement in accordance with Executive Order 08.15.20.01 issued by Governor Kemp on August 15th, 2020, and for other lawful purposes. I'm going to refer that to the committee of the whole. And that is all of the new business that I have to read to you at this point. There may be some other things. However, as we discussed earlier at pre-commission, I understand, Commissioner Watkins, that you'll take up at some appropriate time either a special call meeting of your committee on Friday or next Tuesday for the CARES funding and an additional review of that. And I will call for a special call meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission at 1 o'clock next Tuesday, the 25th, to put 2 items on the agenda. The CARES Act funding was one and the mask ordinance was the other, those 2 mask ordinances. So there'll be a total of 3 ordinances on the agenda for the special call meeting at 1 o'clock next Tuesday, so that we can take final action in a timely fashion on that. I understand that there are several items or several comments on non-agenda items that Michael has received, and I've asked him on the one issue concerning the tennis center and operations at the tennis center. There were multiple comments, and I've asked Michael to select 3 for and 3 against, but to send every one of them to every commissioner so that you can have them and read them and et cetera, et cetera. And then there were 1 or 2 other things that Michael also got that were non-agenda comments. So Michael, can I call on you at this point for public comments on non-agenda items, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. And I'll start with the items about the tennis center. We received 15 comments total opposing the Agape tennis operations at the Macon-Bibb County Tennis Centers. And we received 14 comments supporting those operations. And we received one comment that was collateral, was not really addressing Agape either way. And so I'm going to start with that one because it was on it was more to do with COVID than it was to do with Agape. And then I'll get into the 3 for and 3 against as you requested. So this first comment, it comes from Nancy Williams. And Ms. Williams writes, County Commissioners and Mayor Rickert, as an avid tennis player, I support efforts to increase public enjoyment and participation in the sport, but these are not normal times, and public facilities should not be used to encourage groups to gather and socialize. Even outdoors, maintaining social distancing is realistically impossible at social events with large groups. Around the country, we have seen outdoor events become super spreaders. The Macon Area Tennis Association and Agape sponsored Back to Tennis events on August 8th at the Randy Stevens Tennis Center and could be just such an event. While we cannot micromanage every private event in our county, the government does hold some responsibility for social distancing when social events are held on county-owned property. Attached is a flyer for the event. That's Ms. Nancy Williams' comment. And then as to the 3 supporting and 3 opposing, as I did last time, I'm going to alternate back and forth. So I'm going to begin with one from Susan Anglin, and this is in favor of Agape Tennis. Ms. Anglin writes, my name is Susan Anglin, and I would like to tell you how Amy Pazahanik and the other coaches of Agape Tennis Academy have changed my life. I loved to play tennis when I was younger, but never had good professional coaching. So I had always stayed at a very basic beginner level. At the end of April, I contacted Amy at John Drew Smith Tennis Center to inquire about adult tennis lessons. I took my first lesson at the beginning of May and have learned and improved more than I thought possible. And on August 24th, I will play my first match and start the MATA League season as a team captain. I am playing much better than I've ever played in my life, hitting both forehands and backhands with speed, spin, and consistency. This in itself would be pretty remarkable, but in my case, it's a life-changing miracle because I'm legally blind. When I contacted Amy about lessons, I explained my visual limitations to her. I have only one eye, which has glaucoma that has taken over 25% of my peripheral vision, and I'm extremely nearsighted in that eye. I also have a cataract growing on my eye, which is causing some double vision. Amy didn't hesitate to encourage me. Instead, she said, of course I can help you relearn to play, and she has lived up to that statement. I also want to tell you how I have witnessed our community come together through our love of tennis because of Agape Tennis Academy and their programs and camps. Our classes are filled with a diverse group of students. Both in age, I am the oldest student, I think, at almost 60, and in ethnicity. I've made a diverse group of friendships that I cherish. And I have seen Amy offer opportunities for a summer of fun to so many of Macon's youth through their summer camps. I volunteered during some of the camps and took the following photographs. I saw our community's youth coming together in friendship and fun, but I also saw amazing opportunity born in these kids' lives as I saw them developing a love of tennis that will open doors of opportunity for them, opportunity for educational scholarships. I also saw discipline and other values being instilled in our community's youth that will take root in those kids' lives and enrich their futures. And now I'd like to tell you about my experience with one of the former tennis coaches of John Drew Smith Tennis Center. I was just starting my tennis classes and wanted to play on Memorial Day weekend, but JDS was not having classes over that weekend. I saw on a Facebook post by Coach Juan, who was holding drills, which were advertised as open to the public. I messaged Coach Juan saying I would like to participate in the Memorial Day drills held at Healy Point Country Club. He responded only that the drills were for experienced players. I felt like I was shut down and he wasn't interested in helping me. The bottom line is that Amy Pazahanik and Agape Tennis Academy are enriching our community and bringing it together. They are an invaluable asset to Middle Georgia, and we should be grateful for all they are doing and the opportunities they are bringing, and lives like mine that they are changing. Sincerely, Susan Anglin. And she attached several photographs to the comment, as well as a video, I believe, of her hitting some tennis balls, but that's been distributed to the commission. The next comment that we received was from Roar Petition, and they write, attention county attorneys, we ask that this email be read in executive session or wherever and whenever the Macon-Bibb tennis issue will be decided this week or in the future. If not decided, then read it out loud at the next public meeting. Thank you. Everything herein is presented to the best of our knowledge as being factual, and those things in question we have already asked and ask again that they be thoroughly investigated. Nothing herein is intended as a threat to anybody. That is not now, nor has it ever been our intention. Today, some of us, and we're sure others, got an email practically begging people to send in positive emails about her and her business. See it below, but first of all, commissioners, do not be deceived by this trick. Because of the bad with this new manager certainly outweighs the good in all aspects of the word, and first and foremost is the financially unsound contracts Macon-Bibb County has with this company that is sucking our county's profits. Furthermore, no one had to beg or persuade the hundreds of Macon-Bibb County tax-paying residents, the hundreds of Middle Georgia consumers who came to Macon, Georgia for tennis programs, nor the hundreds of people all over the United States and beyond, amounting to over 1,800 individual people, to sign the Roar petition. They signed on their own accord because they wanted to. They signed because of all the years of great tennis programs here in Macon-Bibb County before this year. They signed because public opinion was ignored during a national and international pandemic. They signed because they disagree with a hiring committee made up of a private school coach/instructor, a private country club member, and the Parks and Recreation director, none of whom even play tennis at these public tennis centers, but they recommended the hiring of this rule-breaking tennis manager who already had 5 tennis contracts canceled in Atlanta where she lives. They signed because they wanted to protest the ousting of our tennis coaches who did pay tennis court fees. They signed because we have all seen the ridiculous contractual rights this manager and her companies were awarded, and now we know even this tennis academy's home tennis center in DeKalb County, Georgia, didn't stand for such bad contractual terms. Additionally, they signed to stand up for what is right, and this is wrong. See below for the individual petition signatures which outweigh any letters submitted in Agape's favor today. Each and every Agape contract should be terminated, and the following are the reasons why. 1, hiring this new tennis manager was a colossal mistake. It appears that she has not worked here in Macon-Bibb County an entire 40-hour work week since you hired her, and she proved this fact herself by posting her visits to DeKalb County Tennis Center during weekdays and then being off on vacations at least twice. And we've asked that you either look for or ask Robert Walker to produce any leave slips she turned in prior to her taking leave for those out-of-state trips she put out there for not only the entire public to see, but also for other Macon-Bibb County employees who have come to work to see. This raises an extremely serious issue. Are all Macon-Bibb County employees allowed to come and go as they please, go where they please, and do what they please during county work hours while earning a Macon-Bibb County check? That's the message you will send if you keep this tennis manager and her tennis academy here at our 3 public tennis centers. 2, the new tennis manager has been witnessed by different petitioners coming to JDS mid-morning just to teach lessons and earn profits for Agape, her personal business during county hours, which surely can be defined as a conflict of interest or what is known as double dipping. To present a more factual information, petitioners have witnessed the student she came to JDS to teach, paying at the desk, and then her going out to tennis courts with them and giving a lesson. Petitioners read in the Agape contracts duly requested by an open records request in so many words that such behavior of overlapping Agape business time with county employee time is not allowed. 3, at least one petitioner has purchased an item from JDS and was served and attended to in the pro shop by a county employee who has always worked at JDS even before Agape's arrival. So isn't that employee being used by the tennis manager as her private company's sales associate? Petitioners assert that in Agape's contracts, the use of such county employees is not allowed. 4, the tennis manager started her social media posts in our beloved Macon-Bibb County by misrepresenting photographs with the DeKalb County Tennis Center in the background on the John Drew Tennis Center website. And when a Middle Georgia resident who captains a team at JDS simply posted, "That's not a JDS picture because JDS does not have benches that color," and some other county's name is even in the background, The tennis manager or one of the individuals from Agape she let administer and monitor the JDS Facebook page first responded with an untruth by saying Facebook chose that picture. Then they deleted this tennis captain's freedom of speech item in their response. Another incident occurred when the petitioner simply commented asking, why weren't the children in the John Drew Smith Tennis Center summer camp photos not wearing masks when some of the pictures clearly show them less than 6 feet apart and more than 10 of them together? This was also deleted by either the tennis manager or someone from Agape she gave access to the JDS Facebook page, act as administrator and monitor. Even worse, these two individuals and at least one other petitioner were actually blocked from commenting on the Macon-Bibb County public Facebook page with no explanation as to why their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech were violated. These comments were not profane and did not attack anybody. They just made valid points that Agape did not like. 5. As professionals, we the petitioners can acknowledge that Agape Tennis Academy had nice summer camps for youth and teens, but they were nice summer camps with better hours for parents, and the youth and teens at JDS Tennis Center and Tatnall Tennis Center for the past 2 summers with no tennis manager and no Agape Tennis Academy. But summer is almost over. Prior to Agape's arrival, the JDS Tennis Center was the home to many USTA tennis leagues whose hundreds of team members frequented JDS Tennis Center year-round, not only to during league, but also for tennis drills 6 days a week, tennis practices, tennis mixers, and televised pro tennis watch parties under the stars. There's no hiding that this new tennis manager is obsessed with the word young, 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 as though there is something wrong with being older. While the aforementioned year-round players at JDS for several decades have been 18 and over leagues, 40 and over leagues, 55 and over leagues, as well as the distinguished 65 and older leagues, from which one team won last year's state competition in Savannah, Georgia. And they advanced to the regional competition where they came very close to going on to the national competition. Our point is that it was these leagues that put Macon-Bibb County tennis on the statewide map and have financially supported all Macon-Bibb County tennis centers, but stopped in 2020 upon your bringing in Agape and this tennis manager that appears to have an ageist attitude that offends us all. And 6, last but surely not least, the Macon-Bibb County tennis manager / Agape CEO recently started reaching out to people offering free stuff like tennis lessons and tennis parties, which could be viewed as bribes. Many petitioners started contacting the Roar petition administrators, upset because they felt like their personal contact information was compromised by these unwanted solicitation emails. Even today, several petitioners. Yes, sir.
Michael, we've kind of gone beyond 5 minutes with this one letter. How much more of it have you got?
That's enough.
It's about a paragraph and a half.
Yeah, that's
I can move on.
Let's turn these letters.
Yeah, move on in the interest of time.
Yes, sir. The next comment is from Rachel Ephraim, and she writes, to whom it may concern, good evening. I am Rachel and parent of 3 children that attend Agape Tennis Center. I became aware of the center through Big Brother, Big Sister. I can't speak highly enough of both organizations. The camp is full of diverse staff that are full of life and love, spreading it daily to those little ones. My children have become more competitive, driven, kinder, open-minded, and have made lots of new friends during their time at camp. That won weekly awards like Fastest Runner, Most Team Spirit, and Lion Award. Each week they set new goals on which new awards to win and how to achieve higher results. This was much needed in today's climate of both racism and health crisis. This lessened my children's anxiety and gave them a safe place to play competitively. Agape could not be a better name for this organization, as they are definitely fulfilling their mission. Thanks, Rachel Ephraim.
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Mayor. If he's done.
I'll get to you, Mayor Pro Tem, momentarily. Let me get through the public comments, if I may.
I've got 3 more on tennis and then one about this one comes from Joanna Jones. Ms. Jones writes, I refrained from writing this for a number of reasons. One, I was hoping it would get better or go away and everything would be back to normal or better than normal. And I was hopeful. But having spent the last 4 to 5 months scrambling to find courts where my tennis friends would come together and play has been exhausting, frustrating, and downright upsetting. There's a huge tennis community in Macon, and I'm a real estate agent for over 20 years and also owned a successful store for 13 years before that, and who actually uses tennis as a huge selling point to persuade buyers who visit to move to our town. I actually show in my tennis outfit because I play at least twice a day if I can, and it takes too much time for me to change clothes in between my crazy busy schedule. I play drill for physical and mental exercise. I play for friendships, and I play because I love the game and the people I've met and would not otherwise have been friends with without meeting them through tennis. Part of my drive is to support my tennis friends so that the numbers will be enough for playing. I actually coordinate quite a few of the daily drills 7 days a week and have for over 20 years, even while I'm out of town working and not able to attend, or while I've lived in New York filming an HGTV television show. I have captained many, many teams. I've played in many, many tournaments, both local and USTA, and believe it or not, had both my hips replaced within months and played 2 weeks after that. My main facility is John Drew Smith Tennis Center, although I play all over Macon at different clubs and different facilities in nearby counties. But I've always played mainly at our tennis facilities, JDS. I actually had a certain parking spot, like so many that play there. Tennis has always brought money to our town, and folks from all over love to come here and eat in our restaurants and shop in our local stores. Many out-of-towners would shop at my boutique, the Midnight Pickle. I understand the economic boost that tennis has brought to this town. But now we do not go to JDS anymore, so here's why. I was born in Macon and have lived here for 58 years, and I take great pride in our tennis community. After years of bad lighting and cracked courts, paying taxes that went to other parks, we were thrilled that the JDS courts were being resurfaced and new lighting installed. Everyone was so excited and proud. But unfortunately, unbeknownst to the tennis community that actually uses these courts, which are many, our public courts were basically sold to a company not locally owned without any say in the people that pay for them, the people of Macon, Georgia. A decision was made that has totally shattered an entire tennis community. Our commissioners, our leaders, made a decision based on what some thought would make the tennis soar in our community and bring more money. Unfortunately, the decision was made with no input from the hardworking, everyday citizens that use and love these courts. It takes a community of people driven by their love for tennis to make it grow. They're the reason tennis is successful in our town, the tennis community, not someone with no knowledge or concern about our community trying to make it grow, not a company whose temperament is not in simpatico with Macon's personality. The success comes from the people, the advocates for tennis, who understand the tennis community, not just tennis. So this decision was made that gave full authority apparently to a company that has not made any attempt to ask or understand what they can do to make the tennis community better or succeed, or what went wrong, or what they can do to get people back to the courts. The company seems to be all about what they want and what they think will make it grow, unfortunately not listening to anyone who has tried to help. The contrary, it has sadly done just the opposite. The tennis community has left their courts. They've gone to courts where their coaches have gone. They have left the courts that were once thriving, they once took pride in and supported. They're playing at unfamiliar places. The tennis community is split apart, but only physically. They're united in the fact that they've been hurt by their leaders, and it has affected their lives tremendously. At a time that our community should be building strength and unity, it is being torn apart unnecessarily. I ask that you would please consider giving the courts back to our tennis community. Give the courts back to the people who love Macon, Georgia, and who voted for you because they had faith that you would be for the community, not for outsiders taking over our town. Happy to discuss this with anyone, and many thanks for taking the time to read my note. Thank you, Joanna Jones. The next comment is from Brantley Nicholson. And Brantley writes, Dear Macon City Council, my name is Brantley Nicholson, and I am a Macon resident and avid member of the Middle Georgia tennis community. I write in support of Agape Tennis and to extol the terrific addition to the Macon community that they have been. Since my family and I relocated to Macon 5 years ago, we've been impressed both by the tennis facilities and the positive growth in Macon as a whole. Bringing in fresh energy such as Agape acts as a tailwind to this positive movement. As I've noted in many private conversations, Macon is extremely lucky to have access to coaches at the level that Agape provides. Our daughter attended 5 sessions of tennis camp this summer, and my wife and I play in leagues and attend drills based out of the John Drew Smith Center. We think that tennis, and specifically through Agape, allows Macon to punch above its weight in a way that will make the city and area attractive to newcomers looking to relocate from larger metros such as Atlanta. Agape has also made notable strides in outreach to the wider community that goes beyond the country club enclaves. This acts as a crucial incubator for inter-community growth in Macon. This is just a short summary of positive feelings that we have towards Agape, but they surely do not stop there. Please feel free to contact me by email for more. Yours sincerely, Brantley Nicholson. The final comment I received, or I'll read from Tennis, says, This is from Frances Clay, and she writes, I understand positive feedback was read at the commissioners' meeting last night. I wonder how many of those people are actually tennis players in this area and not from Pazahannock's DeKalb Center or on her payroll. I just wanted to bring your attention to the following. Pazahannock tried to make all of the league captains turn over their players' contact information so that she could solicit positive comments from them. However, the captains refused because people have to be willing to submit their contact information. In the email she sent out soliciting positive comments, she talked of how she started playing tennis in Macon, and she said this is where she learned to love the game. But the first thing she did when she arrived was to basically, quote, fire Juan Farrow, the very coach who taught her to love the game when she first started playing. She tells everyone she, quote, loved Coach Juan and took lessons from him. That's heartless. She is still having any negative feedback deleted from the JDS Facebook page. I went to JDS for a match week before last on what has traditionally been one of the busiest nights there, with league drills, etc., and it was a ghost town. We were the only ones there. And today I found out she posted this. And attached is what appears to be a screenshot from a Facebook posting. And she writes further, this just underscores her immaturity. She would not meet with members of the tennis community when she first came and instead ran off our beloved coaches. She is clearly not concerned about Macon tennis and is only out for her personal gain. We are a stepping stone to her, quote, acquiring Atlanta courts. I will not bring my teams back to JDS until either she/Agape is gone or some agreement is made to bring back our beloved coaches. That is over $3,000 in court fees for my team alone, and I know there are many others who feel the same. So that's from Frances Clay. And then the one other comment that we received that was not about tennis, this comes from Bonnie Thompson, who writes, I'd like to ask the commission to change the ordinance against panhandling. Currently, the sheriff's department says if they are not banging on windows and causing a disturbance, they can't do anything about it unless the ordinance is changed. Can I just tell you that the residents of the neighborhood that sits on Sardis Church and 75 didn't ask for the 2 truck stops and definitely not the panhandlers. These are families with children who make it a point to know who their neighbors are. These panhandlers or homeless people can be pedophiles, child molesters, robbers, violent criminals, and so on. Please make this your priority to move these people to a rehabilitation program or to their hometown. If they are on our own, then we need to help them. That should not mean ignore them. Thanks, Bonnie Thompson. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the comments to be read for tonight.
Michael, thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem, let me go to you, sir. I think you had a point of personal privilege.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, a couple of things right quick, just congratulate Commissioner Lucas on winning her ethics complaint. And I want to say congratulations to all of the commission member-elect and to Mayor-elect Lester Miller, who's been quietly like a school student sitting on our Zoom observing us today. So I want to say congratulations to all of them and wish them well.
Good. And I was supposed to ask Duke. Duke had a comment that he wanted to make just to kind of clarify where we are with tennis.
Right. I'm aware, and I've received them too, of the massive amount of emails that the commission has received from various sides of this, as indicated by, or as evidenced by Michael's comments Michael's read. There's strong opinions on all sides of this issue. There have been emails sent engaging certain commissioners about whether and to what extent the county was taking this seriously. I'm going to say this in public. The county is taking this seriously on all sides of this. We have endeavored to be fair to everybody, as I think evidenced by the fact we're giving everybody plenty of chance to voice their opinions. We have, in fact, contrary again to some of the emails you've received, spoken to relevant people related to this issue, and next day, I would propose that we put an agenda item, go in executive session as the committee of the whole, so I can thoroughly brief the commission on this matter as well as have Dr. Duhart and Robert Walker attend that meeting. And I think that would be helpful to commission, because I understand y'all have been totally swamped by a lot of these comments and emails. Again, the public has a right to articulate their views. I'm not criticizing that, but at this point in time, I think it's necessary that we meet and about this. And I would propose that next week, Mayor. That's what I was going to add.
Very good. I'll add that executive session to the committee of the whole agenda and set it. Other points of personal privilege from any commissioner? If not, then be sure and check your agenda. That'll come out Friday afternoon for any additional items that come down from legal that we'll try to refer. We'll have committee meetings by Zoom again next Tuesday, the 25th, and that'll be followed by a special call meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission at 1 o'clock or at the conclusion of the committee meetings. So whichever is later to occur. So with that having been said, no other points of personal privilege. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion, and without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
Damn, that was a long one.